All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. The offenses were committed, the witnesses were called, and the investigation completed. Today, the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs presented its report to Parliament with its conclusion and recommendations.
Let's take a look.
Reports from committees. The honourable member for Waterloo.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I present the 55th report of the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs, entitled Speaker's Public Participation at an Ontario Liberal Party Event, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to our clerk, Mike. I would like to appreciate the hours and the speed at which our analysts, Andre, Sarah, and Isabel moved. I would like to appreciate members from all parties, including the Liberals, Conservatives, Bloc, and NDP. I would like to thank the witnesses who arrived on such short order, the behind-the-scenes crew, including for IT, food, maintenance, and the list goes on, especially the interpretation and translation services who worked around the clock to return this report to the House in the time that the House gave us. I also have to give a shout-out to our team members of all teams. They were there with us every single minute of the way, not necessarily by choice, but because they had to be, and we appreciate everything that they've done. And I will just say that when committees move at the pace that we were moving, it is often our constituencies who are left behind. So I know for constituents in the riding of Waterloo, they were not able to have meetings with me because I had to cancel them. So I do want them to know that I appreciate them.
And I'd just like to wish everyone happy holidays. See you next year.
I would really appreciate not seeing anyone in this place until 2024 because I would like to be in my riding of Waterloo. So with that, I have the honor to present this report in both official languages, and I'm sure everybody will be reading it profusely. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you next year. Thank you.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. We have a dissenting opinion from the Conservatives. The Honourable Member for St. Albert, Edmonton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present a dissenting report from the Conservative members on the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs. There is a long-standing tradition and expectation that the Speaker be impartial and non-partisan. That expectation was shattered by the current Speaker when he engaged in partisan commentary no less than on 3 occasions in the span of a week. This demonstrated not only a lack of judgment, but a betrayal of the trust of all honourable members in this House. I would note that both the official opposition and the third party, comprising of nearly half of the members in this House, have called on the Speaker to resign. I would submit that it is untenable in the circumstances that he continue in his high office. In order to restore the trust and confidence of all honourable members in the Speakership, it is with regret that Conservatives call on the current Speaker to resign.
Okay, so first off, did you notice the difference between what Chagger said and what Cooper said?
Chagger was just prattling on about things that had nothing to do necessarily with Fergus. It was about, the committee and the people helping the committee, and I'm sorry to my constituents where I had to cancel meetings. And
I want to go home.
Yeah. That's it. I want to go home. I don't care if there's work to be done. I want to go home.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Cooper is treating this with the seriousness it absolutely deserves. So what happened there? Okay, so that big stack of paper, it's funny, they're still dealing in paper these days, but that big stack of paper is the result of the investigation and the report from PROC, and that is tabled to the House. and that is distributed for people to see. So that report would contain the conclusions, recommendations. If it's anything like what we saw the other day when the NDP were considering what they wanted, it's probably going to include a recommendation that Fergus not resign and that he be presented with a penalty, maybe a fine. I doubt the fine is going to be significant, and that they echo what was said in committee, and that the Speaker's office needs to beef up the instructions and briefings on how not to be partisan, because, you know, for 156 years that has been easy, but not today. Today it's hard. So now we actually have to have instructions on how not to be partisan. And the next piece it's probably going to endorse is what the deputy clerk or the acting deputy clerks were stating in committee, as well as Fergus himself, and that they're going to put in a protocol where the Speaker's statements can't be trusted to be nonpartisan, so they have to have somebody double checking all of his work.
Then why are you making that amount of money? It's close to $300,000 a year, folks.
Exactly. You know, in terms of compensation, a $300,000 salary should reflect somebody who is extremely competent in the role that they are. More competent than probably 99% of other people.
Well, you don't just hand out that kind of money to like everybody walking down the street, right? You have to earn a position like that. And I honestly don't understand how somebody who is still clearly this partisan and does not understand that what he's saying and doing is partisan is in this position.
Yep. It's beyond embarrassing. And now this guy is basically just going to be a mistrusted laughingstock in Parliament and across the country. So it's pretty ridiculous. Now, you heard the Deputy Speaker of the House acknowledge Michael Cooper rising on a dissenting opinion. What does that mean? So a dissenting opinion occurs when a member of a party that is on a committee disagrees with the conclusions presented in the report that is tabled by committee. So in this case, Cooper is rising to disagree with the conclusions that are being tabled in the House, and that his opinion and the party's opinion are also voiced in the dissenting opinion, which is that, in this case, Fergus should resign. So that's what that means, and that's where we are. Continuing on.
The Honourable Member for 𝘨𝘳𝘢𝘍𝑒. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be brief because we have more important work to do. So we're somewhat saddened and regretful that we had to table a dissenting report as well, because in the eyes of the Bloc Québécois, the Speaker's role is very important, and there's zero tolerance for partiality. And we're of the view that what the Speaker did is unpardonable, unforgivable, and he has to step down. And we have asked him to make the right decision and step down because he failed in his responsibilities. Mr. Speaker, I hope the House, we want the House to function as smoothly as possible, and that takes a Speaker who enjoys the full confidence of all elected members here in the House.
Presenting reports from committees, the Honourable Member for Markham-Unionville.
And that's a very important point, that the Speaker needs to enjoy the confidence of all members of the House, not just the governing party, not just their coalition partners, all members, because all these members represent Canadians. If you do not have a Liberal or NDP MP, your voice, you have to worry about it not being represented properly in the House. because the speaker is going to be biased against your MP if they're Conservative, Bloc, etc.
Yeah, it's a very important concept when it comes to the Speaker of the House as a referee. Again, it's like two different hockey teams. If neither of them trusts the referee, or if one of them really mistrusts the referee, that game isn't going to go smoothly. Pick a sport, insert your referee, insert a bias. It's not going to go smoothly. So, you know, you have both the Conservatives and the Bloc with dissenting opinions. Remember how I said don't worry about the Bloc backing the Liberals and everything? Here's an example of it. So it's unfortunate. And, you know, having a dissenting opinion doesn't necessarily mean a lot. But, you know, the argument that is going to be made is, listen, almost half the House doesn't trust this speaker. That's a problem.
I think what's going to help here is if we as Canadians let the House know that we are not satisfied with this outcome. We've already sent off our letters. You can send off an email. You can drop a letter in a mailbox, any Canada Post red box for free. You don't need a stamp. And you let your MP or the Prime Minister or the Leader of the Opposition or whoever you want to write, you let them know that you are not happy. And you let them know why.
The petition for a no confidence vote, last time we checked as of this recording, is up to 318,000 signatures. Imagine if the heads of the parties received 318,000 letters.
Could you imagine just the House of Commons just filled with all these letters? And I know they're going away. Tomorrow's the last sitting day, but that doesn't mean that there's not people in the House to take care of the mail and things like that. So
yeah, but
they'll have a pile waiting when they get back.
Just imagine 318,000 unread emails, unread paper letters telling them have this speaker resign.
Because he does not represent Canadians.
Wouldn't that be something?
I think we have a point of order from the honourable member from Regina Capel.
I regretfully have to inform the House that there is evidence of another partisan activity that the Speaker was engaged with. I have in my hands a picture of the Speaker at an event with the honourable member for Pontiac, which was labeled and advertised by the Liberal Party as un cocktail militant. The post, the Instagram post for Sophie Chatel a dit, the honourable member, I appreciate that. This week, I had the privilege of participating in a remarkable event in the company of my colleague, Greg Fergus, the Speaker. In this time when the political sphere is in full swing, supporting our colleagues is crucial. I want to express my gratitude to my provincial counterpart and friend André Fortin, as well as his Liberal team, for organizing a stimulating evening focused on political discussions, both regional and local. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is not even the Speaker's riding. This is a neighbouring riding. It's billed as a cocktail with activists or volunteers. I would like to seek unanimous consent to table these documents. If any member of Parliament has ever said anything about the importance of the independence and integrity of the Speaker, they should allow me to table these documents, and they should have allowed the debate to continue on the Speaker today. Do I have unanimous consent to table?
All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay.
Whoa, I don't think I've seen Scheer that upset ever.
Yeah, he's usually a very stoic guy.
Yeah, he's pretty jovial and you know, like he doesn't take BS, but he's not angry like that.
No, and this is the thing, right? This is why the Conservatives are just so completely done with the Liberals. Like they have no regard for anything.
And this is why Canadians are done. I know a few of you were concerned about the Abacus poll the other day, saying that the Conservatives were down 5 points and the Liberals were up, meaning that there was only a 10-point difference between the two. But Nanos released another one today and had the Conservatives at 40 and had the Liberals at 26. So I'm not concerned. One poll does not make a trend.
And if you didn't hear what Scheer said off mic, it's pretty clear. This is what he said. You guys are a joke. As he slammed down his papers.
It's true. These liberals are so corrupt. So corrupt. They want to tilt everything in their favor. And, you know, it's just ringing in my ears that one of them said a little while ago, and it was in regards to the carbon tax cutout. If you wanted that, or if you wanted an advantage, or whatever was said, you should have voted Liberal.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you have a Liberal MP right now, I'm hesitant to say it, but you're lucky, because everything that's going on in the House is going to be in the favor of your MP right now. Those of us that have a Conservative MP, or if you have a Bloc MP or Green, you're boned. Absolutely boned.
So we go into on the point of order. The honourable member for Kingston and the Islands.
Mr. Speaker, we certainly did listen to what the House Leader from the Conservatives had to say. If you would perhaps provide us with an opportunity to review, reflect, and provide comments on that before making a ruling, we'd really appreciate it.
On the same point, the honourable member for Regina Cabell.
The whole point about tabling the document is that you can read them.
Yes.
So how can you not read that?
There you go. Okay. Well, we're not going to have a debate. We're not going to have a debate on this. The information is apparently public now. We'll make it. You know, people can go and have a look at it.
Yeah. So, Gerritsen, as usual, was most likely one of the Liberals who shouted nay. And, you know, stands up, says this idiotic statement. Well, we heard you, but, you know, why don't you give us the documents? And then Scheer justifiably, understandably stands up and said, what do you think the whole point of tabling these was for, so you could read them? Like, come on. But, you know, as Fox said off camera, it's most likely they don't want them in the parliamentary record. Yeah, they're in the public record, but they don't want them in the parliamentary record. So,
yeah, they don't want them in Hansard.
So here you go, folks. Just, you know, Liberal obstruction in full swing here.
The problem is these Liberals have been in government for almost a decade now, and they've been doing this kind of corrupt, shady crap the whole time, and they've been getting away with it. Just recently, Canadians are starting to find out about it. But the Liberals are so arrogant that they think that they can keep getting away with it the way they have been for the last 8 years.
Yeah, at this point, it's almost a standard procedure in the House that they can just subvert reports, do what they want, and expect to get away with it.